You've heard about soldiers and generals, but what about the brave women behind the scenes? From silent sacrifices to fearless service, their stories were never told, until now. Discover the hidden legacy of Pakistani women in war that history forgot. This is Historical Stories, where forgotten heroes finally get their voice. The untold stories of Pakistani women in war. War has often been narrated through the lens of men, their courage, sacrifice, and strategy. Yet behind the frontline battles of Pakistan's history lies a powerful, often overlooked force: the women who served, supported, and sacrificed in silence. The untold stories of Pakistani women in war reveal a deep legacy of bravery, resilience, and patriotism. The story begins during the First Indo-Pak War of 1947-48. As Pakistan was newly born and engulfed in the conflict over Kashmir, women volunteered in refugee camps, nursing the injured and organising relief. In Lahore and Rawalpindi, female teachers and doctors provided support, while families were torn apart by the violence of partition. These women, though unarmed, were on the front lines of trauma and recovery. In the 1965 war with India, women's roles became more visible. The iconic image of Noor Jehan, Pakistan's legendary singer, rallied morale as she sang patriotic songs broadcast on Radio Pakistan. Her voice became the emotional heartbeat of the nation. But beyond the airwaves, many women served in hospitals, donated blood, and ran food drives. Civil defence units, composed mainly of women, trained in air raid precautions, emergency care, and evacuation procedures. These volunteers risked their lives under blackout conditions and enemy shelling. Perhaps the most remarkable figure from this period was Dr. Fatima Shah, a blind physician who worked tirelessly to treat wounded soldiers and refugees. Her work became a symbol of how disability could not limit duty in service to the homeland. The 1971 war with India, which led to the creation of Bangladesh, once again saw women stepping into critical roles. In East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, women like Begum Shaista Suhrawadi Ikramullah, a former diplomat and activist, tried to mediate and raise awareness of human rights abuses. Women journalists such as Shahnaz Hamid reported on the conflict under dangerous conditions, often with little recognition. In West Pakistan, mothers of soldiers, nurses, and social workers endured the grief of loss quietly, while continuing to support military families. In the 1980s and 1990s, as Pakistan faced internal challenges and border skirmishes in Kashmir, female roles evolved further. The rise of terrorism and the Kargil conflict in 1999 gave rise to a new generation of women in the military. Captain Ayesha Farooq, Pakistan's first female fighter pilot, became a symbol of changing gender dynamics in the armed forces. Though she was commissioned later in the 2000s, her path was paved by decades of women's quiet service in military medical corps, intelligence support, and logistics. During the War on Terror post-2001, Pakistani women played an increasingly direct role. Female intelligence officers from the ISI assisted in anti-terror operations. Women police officers like Malala Ali, stationed in volatile areas like Swat and Balochistan, stood firm against militants despite threats and limited resources. Female doctors and aid workers operated in FATA and KP, where access to care was nearly impossible due to ongoing conflict. These women braved bombings, kidnappings, and cultural stigma, often with no medals or public acknowledgement. One of the most powerful contemporary stories is that of Major General Shahida Malik, the first woman in Pakistan to attain the rank of two-star general in the Pakistan Army Medical Corps. Her rise shattered gender barriers and inspired young women to join the armed forces. The history of Pakistani women in war is not defined by guns, but by grit. They were the nurses in field tents, the mothers behind enemy lines, the voices on the radio, and the unseen shields of the nation's spirit. They endured loss, fear, and silence, yet stood tall every time their country needed them. Their stories are not just footnotes to battles, they are chapters of courage waiting to be honoured. It is time Pakistan recognises that its women, too, have always been warriors. Conclusion: the bravery of Pakistani women in war has long remained in the shadows of history, yet their sacrifices and service are undeniable. From field hospitals to frontline resistance, they stood strong in times of conflict with courage and conviction. These untold stories remind us that true patriotism knows no gender. It's time their voices are heard, their roles honoured, and their legacy remembered. They stood strong in silence, but their courage echoes through history. These untold stories deserve to be remembered and shared with the world. If you were inspired, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You're watching Historical Stories, bringing hidden history to light. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.